bit. So my parents immigrated from China. We were dirt poor, came with like $500 and 2 suitcases. And we didn't have much money growing up. They started working out for Ford and GM. That's why we moved to Detroit. We were an auto family. And I remember my dad's first job. He was making like it was actually before Ford and GM. He did some postdoc work at one of the universities. And he was making like $10,000 a year. And it's barely enough to sort of get by. And my mom had gone back to school. So I definitely the immigrant mindset and like went through a lot of shit growing up, right? And I think when I first came in contact, honestly, and we had this conversation with like money, and I got my eyes kind of exposed to what the good life was kind of like was before Hard, it was actually in middle school. So we moved around a bunch. I lived in rural Texas for first through fifth grade. We moved back to Detroit after. But TLDR, I got a scholarship, financial aid to this private school in Detroit called Cranbrook. And it's
from the
8 Mile, he's like F Cranbrook. That's what everyone knows.
Yeah.
So I started there 7th grade, and it was the first time where I see kids pulling up to school in Escalades. And I was like, oh my God. I felt so insecure. I felt way out of place. I felt way out of my league, but also felt the chip on my shoulder. I was like, I want to be that. I want that. And like as a kid, we're going through puberty and you're finding your way in life. You want the cool things that every other kid has.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of my life and my early life was defined by just these experiences where we didn't have much. I wanted more. And my parents are pretty, I think, strict. And honestly, they wanted the best out of me. So they had high expectations. And and that's part of the reason, honestly, I think like I wanted to do startups. I wanted to create something. And a lot of people say it's for purely the mission. I think I call bullshit on that. In the early days, it sort of in the later stages, it might be after you made your money, but a lot of it was wanting to make money and be able to provide for my family and live a much better life than my parents had back in China and what we grew up around, because it was frankly pretty tough. I remember